Hello everyone, welcome to Students Point. This is 21st of August and today we are going to see very important 10 questions. So pay your attention till the end, and to get PDF of all these videos, you can join us on Telegram by writing the channel's name Students Point. You can also follow us on Instagram by writing the username The Students Point. So let's begin, but if you are finding this video useful, don't forget to like the video and do share the video with your friends and loved ones. Let's begin now, but first we will see a question and everyone has to try to answer this question in the comment section. The question is, Quality Control Laboratory for export of seafood has been opened up in. These are the options. Read the options carefully, then answer. Let's begin. The first question. Recently, which World Conference of Speakers of Parliament has been organized virtually? So it was the 5th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament, and it was a 2-day conference. It has been organized jointly by Inter-Parliamentary Union based in Geneva and the Parliament of Austria with the support of United Nations. The theme for this conference is Parliamentary Leadership for More Effective Multilateralism that delivers peace and sustainable development for the people and planet. So focus on these keywords, that it focuses on multilateralism, peace, sustainable development for the people and the planet. And the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla today attended the inaugural ceremony of the 5th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament, and it is the first time that such an large scale of parliamentary conference is being organized virtually. Next question, very important question. This is East Med Gas Forum does not includes. So this forum does not include Turkey. This forum include member countries like Cyprus, Egypt, Greece, Israel, Italy, Jordan, and Palestine. I repeat these names once again, very important: Cyprus, Egypt, Greece, Israel, Italy, Jordan, and Palestine. It was created in 2019. Now pay your attention and carefully understand that what is the matter. European Union and its allies in West Asia and North Africa had made plans to build this gas pipeline from Mediterranean to Europe's mainland to transport gas. However, they kept Turkey out of it, despite the fact that Turkey is a major Mediterranean country. This was intended to reduce European Union's dependence on Russia for oil supplies. So this was the intended gas pipeline, and Turkey says that despite being a major Mediterranean country, its claim over the resources of Mediterranean Sea does not get due recognition from countries, particularly the countries of Europe. So Turkey in response made an agreement with Libya, and it formed an exclusive economic zone. So it formed an exclusive economic zone from its southern shore to the northern shore of Libya. In response, what Greece did, it entered into a same agreement with Egypt, and it formed exclusive economic zone with Egypt from its northern shores of Egypt and southern shores of Greece. Now there was conflict between these two economic zones and claim over it. So Turkey, in response to the agreement signed between Greece and Egypt, sent its survey ships near island of Castello Rizzo area. See, this island Castello Rizzo comes under the administrative control of Greece, but Turkey sent its ship here. Why? Because this is the main contention for Turkey. Turkey says that this island lies very near to it, just 2 kilometers away from Turkey's southern coast, while it lies 570 kilometers away from the mainland Greece. This is Greece and this is Turkey, and this is Castello Rizzo Island. So Turkey says that when it lies very near to it, should not it have claim over this island? But despite the geographical proximity of this island to Turkey, it is Greece which have administrative control over these islands. Now entire issue come into news again because France, in support of Greece, has deployed its military in the eastern Mediterranean Sea amid the tensions between Greece and Turkey over recently discovered gas reserves. And about the test series, those who want to join it, do subscribe by pressing the link which I will provide in the top at the comment section and in the description box as well. These are the 3 plans which you can subscribe to. The first one is for 1 month, the second one is for 3 months which cost rupees 219, the third one is for 6 months which cost rupees 420. After subscribing to the test, you have to send your confirmation at email pointstudent2020@gmail.com. I repeat, pointstudent2020@gmail.com. Those who are unaware, let me tell you that we organize test for every month from 15th, and afterwards the test cover the topics of current affairs as well as all the related informations of polity, economy, international news, science and technology, environment, history and culture, and small topics are covered in miscellaneous. This ensures a comprehensive preparation for your examinations and will ensure early selections in the early attempts. And many of you has already enrolled into this test series and are taking benefit of it. And we also organize this test on our website. First you will take the test on website online. After that you get all the PDF with all the answers and explanations of each and every topics and every questions. Let's move ahead now. Third question. Under which article of the Constitution President of India gave note for renaming of Ministry of Human Resource and Development to Ministry of Education? So it is Article 77 of the Indian Constitution. In exercise of its power conferred by Article 77, Clause 3 of Constitution, President Ram Nath Kovind has amended Government of India Allocation of Business Rules 1961 by Government of India Allocation of Business 356 Amendment Rules 2020, and now the name of MHRD remains Ministry of Education. And this renaming of ministry was among the key recommendations which was drafted in National Education Policy. We have already dealt in detail about National Education Policy, so no need to deal here again. Next question now. Consider the following statements about National Recruitment Agency. It will conduct a common eligibility test to shortlist candidates for Group A, Group B and Group C non-technical posts. Is this statement correct or not? No, this is wrong, because it will not conduct common eligibility test for Group A. It will conduct common eligibility test only for Group C and Group B non-technical posts. So first is wrong. And it will conduct examinations online twice a year in all the 22 scheduled languages. No, this is also incorrect, because it will conduct examinations twice a year online only in 12 languages, not in 22 scheduled languages. So here both of these statements are incorrect. D is the right answer. And it is a multi-agency body. It will have representatives of Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Finance, SSC, RRB and IBPS. It shall conduct separate CET each for 3 levels of graduate, higher secondary and matriculate level for those non-technical posts to which recruitment is ongoing by SSC, RRBs and IBPS, and scores will be valid for 3 years. So once you qualify these examinations, the mark sheet will be valid for 3 years, and a student can take examinations multiple times and their best score will be taken into account. And government has sanctioned a sum of rupees 1517.57 crore, and the expenditure will be undertaken over a period of 3 years. This comes as a big relief for aspirants, as it removes the requirement for qualifying prelims again and again, as it gives you 3-year time to appear in the mains examinations just by qualifying these examinations once, as it does not matter earlier that whether you are well prepared for mains or not, because prelims itself was a big hurdle. Irrespective of howsoever you are prepared well enough for mains, if you have not qualified prelims, you cannot appear in mains. But now after these examinations you may appear in mains just after qualifying these examinations once. However, it is valid only for Group B and Group C posts, not for Group A posts. Next question now. Name the e-newsletter on health and nutrition which was released by Tribal Affairs Ministry. See, we have dealt a news on 19th of August. That was the news that Union Minister of Tribal Affairs Arjun Munda has inaugurated first of its kind e-portal for tribals health, which was Swasthya. And if you have listened to the explanations carefully, you must be able to answer this question. So it is Alekh, which is a e-newsletter on health and nutrition, and Renuka Singh Saruta, who is Minister of State for Tribal Affairs, released Alekh, which is quarterly e-newsletter. Next question now. Consider the following statements about reservation based on residence. Let's see. Article 16, Clause 2 of the Constitution not allow discrimination in matters of public employment on the basis of place of birth and residence. This is correct. See, Article 16(2) provides certain criteria like caste, religion, place of birth, sex, decedent, residence. Based on these criteria, state cannot discriminate in matters of public employment. And Supreme Court in Dr. Pradeep Jain versus Union of India expressed an opinion that such policies would be unconstitutional. This is also correct. So here both of the statements are correct. So C is the right answer. And this article, the same article 16 in clause 3, provides an exception. It says that Parliament may make a law and prescribe a requirement of residence for jobs in particular state. However, this power solely lies only with Parliament and not to the state government. Please remember here that this exception provided by Article 16 Clause 3 can be used only by Parliament and not by state government. However, a state used a different criteria called as language is not a criteria mentioned in Article 16 Clause 2. So since Article 16 Clause 2 does not include language as a criteria, it can be used to discriminate in terms of public employment. So state has used language as a criteria in the past to reserve the government jobs for local. And state claimed that since they conduct their official businesses in the regional language, it is mandatory for them to require this language as a barrier. And it was again in news because MP government has recently decided to reserve all government jobs for children of state, which raises questions relating to fundamental rights to equality. And such move of MP government raises question on violation of fundamental rights because its rationale behind this action is not based on use of this language criteria. So let's see what happens in court. Next question now. Consider the following statements about Swachh Sarvekhan 2020. This is the 5th edition of survey introduced in 2016. This is correct. This survey was introduced in 2016 by Prime Minister Modi and this year marks the 5th edition of it. Indore ranked cleanest city in the country, followed by Surat and Navi Mumbai. This is also correct. And Indore has done it 4th time consecutively. And Varanasi bagged the best Ganga town in the survey. This is also correct. So lots of facts to remember here. Indore, the cleanest city in the country, followed by Surat in Gujarat, Navi Mumbai, 3rd ranked in Maharashtra. And Varanasi, the best Ganga town in the survey. So here both statements are correct. C is the right answer. And in this survey, 1.9 crore citizens across 4,242 cities of the country participated, and it was released by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The survey focused on collection, segregated waste, maintenance steel processing site, treatment and reuse of wastewater, curtailing solid waste-based air pollution, and other factors. And Patna and Gaya were the dirtiest city in the country. Gaya in the list of cities which have a population of less than 10 lakh ranked dirtiest, followed by Buxar again in Bihar and Abhor. So Gaya is also in Bihar. And Patna city, the capital city of Bihar, in the list of cities which have a population of more than 10 lakh ranked the dirtiest, followed by East Delhi and Chennai. So Chennai ranked 3rd in terms of the most dirtiest city. East Delhi ranked 2nd, Patna ranked 1st in terms of dirtiest. Next question now. The fair and remunerative price of sugarcane has been increased to, so it has been increased from rupees 275 to rupees 285. So here D is the right answer. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has taken this decision. This committee is being chaired by Prime Minister and this will be valid for sugar season 2020 to 2021. The decision was based on the recommendation of Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. This is the commission which also recommends minimum support price, and based on the recommendation of this commission, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs fixes MSP. And the fair and remunerative price of sugarcane is determined under Sugarcane Control Order 1966, and this will be valid all over the country. And if you have not liked the video yet, do like it and do share the video with your friends and loved ones. Next question now. Recently, which airport or airports has been leased out through public-private partnership? So it is Guwahati, Jaipur and Thiruvananthapuram. All these 3 airports has been leased through PPP. So here D is the right answer. These 3 airports of Airport Authority of India for operation, management and development has been leased to Adani Enterprises. Next question now. Kudgi Super Thermal Power Station is located in, so it is located in Karnataka, precisely in Kudgi village in Bijpur district. And this is one of the coal-based thermal power plants of NTPC Limited. And the water source for this thermal power plant is reservoir of Almaty Dam, which is constructed on Krishna River. And NTPC Limited would be able to reduce transportation cost of coal to fuel to its NTPC Kudgi Super Thermal Power Station in Karnataka with a newly constructed bridge by South Western Railway. Let's see some more points now. Sri Lanka government has granted approval to abolish 19th Amendment to the Constitution and replace it with 20th Amendment. What was this amendment? This amendment was brought by previous government of Sri Lanka. It had put a 2-term limitation on presidency and curtailed the executive power of president and transferred it to parliament and independent commissions. Next point now. MOU has been signed between Jute Corporation of India and National Seeds Corporation. Under this MOU, Jute Corporation of India will distribute 10,000 quintals of certified jute seeds of GRO 204 variety in 2021 to 2022 crop years, and certified seeds from National Seeds Corporation will be purchased by Jute Corporation of India for this first ever commercial distribution operation. So I hope you find the video useful. Do like and do share the video. Subscribe and press the bell icon. Wait for the upcoming video. Until then, stay safe and thanks for watching.